Hey guys, it's Coach Gaglione here. This is another edition of our Meathead Monday Tips. Today we're going to talk about breathing. And breathing could be a really complicated topic. I want to try and keep it really simple. Just full disclosure, this is not necessarily my area of expertise, but I have learned a lot about it, and I'm going to kind of give you some experience of some breathing techniques that I've found really beneficial. So first we're going to just kind of run through our kind of standard breathing that's going to be for powerlifting. And we have to understand when we talk about breathing, you could breathe by just breathing. Obviously, we're breathing right now. You could breathe with a brace, and you could obviously brace without breathing. So in order to get like maximal intra-abdominal pressure, you want to combine a good diaphragmatic breath with a good brace, and you want to kind of create as much pressure as possible. So I like to kind of talk about, when we're talking about tension, we're talking about pressure and intra-abdominal pressure and bracing. I like to think of it like a dial on a stereo. So if you have like a max squat of like 800 pounds, like obviously that dial is going to be all the way up. If I'm doing like a bird dog, for example, you could do the bird dog with a lot of intent and you can create a lot of tension, but it's still not going to be quite as much pressure as an 800 pound squat, no matter how much kind of tension you put into it. So when we're doing drills like planks and stuff, we're practicing our tensioning, we're practicing our breathing with bracing, we're practicing our bracing in general. But it's just important to understand that there's low threshold activities and there's high threshold activities, and there's kind of a time and a place for those really intense diaphragmatic breaths combined with a brace. So when we like to talk about breathing, we like to talk about like kind of the way your diaphragm works. It's kind of like a balloon. So as you breathe, if you're breathing properly, that diaphragm is going to compress, and you're going to get what we call circumferential expansion. You're going to get expansion in all directions. So a lot of people, when we think of powerlifting, and I'll use these cues too, I don't think it's a bad cue, like push your abs into the belt and pressurize the belt. Push your belly into the belt. But what we don't want to do is just kind of dump our abs forward and then have this huge curve in our lower back. We want to be able to so we always want our rib cage stacked over our pelvis, especially when our spine is loaded. So even if you're watching this at home or listening at home, you can kind of find your pelvis and go just above, and you could practice just doing diaphragmatic breaths just sitting here. And the easiest way to practice this is on your back, and you can progress to sitting and standing and so forth. But I could actually feel my thumbs expand. Now, right now I'm just breathing, I'm not bracing at all. So obviously if I brace on top of that, it's going to spread my thumbs out even further. So once I have my full breath, I can set my brace on top of it. Now, right now, I'm breathing behind the brace. I'm keeping my abs tensioned, and I'm pushing my thumbs apart. So typically, if you get your obliques engaged, you will have some pressure in the low back, which to me, that's the hardest one, especially if it's thick. So if you're having trouble feeling your lower back, you can do what's called a crocodile breath, which we're not going to show today, but basically you would do that prone, so lying on your belly, pushing your abs into the floor, and expanding the lower back. But if you can get your obliques going, usually that's going to solve a lot of problems from a bracing standpoint. So that is actually, just to recap, we're not actually talking about breathing with bracing today. I want to talk about breathing techniques in addition to the bracing stuff, because I think most people are familiar with that, but I think most people are unfamiliar with breathing that gets you in a more parasympathetic state. So the bracing with the breath that we talked about is going to be more for a sympathetic driven response, fight or flight response. If I'm under 800 pounds, if I'm going for a 700 pound deadlift, if I'm getting under a 500 pound bench, etc., something that's really heavy, where I'm going to require a lot of spinal stability and a lot of stability in general. But you can also use breathing techniques to kind of wake yourself up. You can also use breathing techniques to kind of de-stress, reset your body, reset your focus. So I want to go through a couple of different techniques that I've learned. The biggest one that we're going to go over first is a box breathing technique. And again, this is not something I invented. So there's a couple different ways you could do this. If you're looking for a completely parasympathetic response, when we say parasympathetic, we're just trying to get into a rest and recovery mode, okay? So this could be something you could do before bed. This could be something that you do like as a strategy if you're really stressed throughout the day. So one of the things, I'm working with a guy right now on his nutrition, and he's doing his box breathing before bed every single day, and it's really improving his sleep quality. So this could be something you could add as like a bedtime ritual. We'll also talk about some breathing stuff you could also do in the morning, also to kind of get you hyped up and get you kind of going and focused. So box breathing basically means it's kind of, if you can imagine a box here. So we would kind of inhale for a certain number of counts. We will hold for a certain number of counts. We will exhale for a certain number of counts, and then you will hold for a certain number, and then you kind of follow the box like that. So you're going to inhale. So we'll just say, I like to start with a 3 count. So 3 count inhale, 3 count hold, 3 count exhale, 3 count hold, and then we repeat. Ideally, we would like to do this for anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes, and that's going to really kind of reset the body and get you in a more rest and into a rest and recovery mode. So ideally, we will do this nasal breathing only. If you have trouble doing it with your nasal breathing only, you could inhale through the nose, you could exhale through the mouth. If you're really, really stressed, you might need to start off with your mouth, and then you could switch over to nasal only. So I'll kind of just demonstrate like a round of that. So here we go. So that would be at one round. That would be like nasal breathing only. Some people also like to kind of play with the counts. There's other methods of breathing, but that's a good place to start. You could obviously, some people like to have a doubly long exhale. That's a method as well if you really want to kind of extend that out. If you're doing a really long exhale, you might consider kind of, making going through the mouth and kind of pursing your lips a little bit. So I'll kind of also demo like a version of that as well. So we can go, if we want to do like a 3, 3, 6, 3, that's a different variation of it. But so it's not technically a box, but it's another kind of breathing technique you could do. There's also an app called Pranayama. We can include links, and that's going to also help you give you a cadence if you have trouble counting on your own. That's something I like to do when I'm kind of doing my cool down type stuff. So if you didn't see our cool down video, you can also check that out as well. We'll include a link in the description for our cool down video. You can combine some of the breathing techniques with the cool down video for a really good parasympathetic and restful response. So let's try that different variations. So we're going to do with a nasal inhale and an exhale through the mouth. So from there, you could progress. I like to go to a 4 or 5 count next, but I think 3 count's a good place to start if you've never done this before. So I'll kind of just do just one example of that, and you can kind of follow along with me as well. And as if you notice, I'm not really kind of breathing into my chest. I'm really trying to breathe into my diaphragm the whole time. So that's kind of how we do the box breath. If nothing else, that is going to be a great tool for you to de-stress. You could try it before bed. So if you have trouble sleeping, if you have trouble with stress management, try to do 2 to 5 minutes of box breathing before bed. You could also kind of just, if you see a negative comment on social media, if you get a bad email, if you get a bad text, just honestly close your eyes for a second. Take a deep as breath as you can, hold it for a little bit, and then exhale it away. So let's try that one. So that's just a one singular breath. So when you have a singular event, I think a singular breath can be a good strategy. I'm also doing this video to remind myself because I often struggle with stress management. So we're going to try that again. I kind of did a little bit of a sigh at the end, so I'm going to inhale for as long and as deeply as I can through my nose. And I don't know if you did it with me, but I feel pretty darn good right now. So it's amazing with just like one breath can really change things around for you. So we talked about so that'd be like in a stressful situation or before bed. So we did the box breathing would be great before bed or in a stressful situation. That single, really exaggerated long breath hold and that long exhale would be good if you had some sort of like really stressful. So instead of just like kind of reverting into a sympathetic state and kind of doing something you may regret, I think we've all been there. We've all made kind of rash decisions when we're angry. Halt, relax, stop for a second, and take a breath. Take a second, literally, take a breath. So I think that's a great way to kind of live and kind of reset yourself. I'm going to kind of butcher this, so I apologize if this is not correct for any of the yogi hippies that are watching this. I don't think there'll be too many. But you can also do a kind of a quick breath. I believe it's called kind of a breath of fire. I kind of first did this with Tony Robbins. I have not done this too much just because I've been in a good routine in my morning, so I haven't really felt the need to kind of charge myself. But in the past, when I was kind of dragging butt a little bit, this has helped me a lot, so I wanted to kind of share it with you. So it's just really quick inhales and exhales through the nose. You want to do about 20 to 30 in a row, and then a long inhale and an exhale. So I believe it's called breath of fire. I could be wrong. I'm sorry for all the yogis out there. I don't think too many of you are going to be watching, but anyway, so this would be kind of a pre-morning kind of deal. And I do think, if nothing else, something like this is really good just to have some sort of quick morning ritual. It doesn't need to be super complicated. I think there's a lot of morning rituals out there that just take like too darn long. So something like this can be just something good to kind of reset your body, get you kind of going for a little bit, and then kind of start your day. So my nose is a little stuffy, so I'm going to do my best to kind of demo, and I haven't done this in a while, so. So I don't think that was 30, but you get the idea, so I'll do it one more time. So a lot of quick breaths for as long as you can with a good cadence, and then once you're done, once you kind of break your rhythm, long inhale, long exhale. So that's a good way to kind of charge yourself a little bit. So a little bit of a different effect, because I'm trying to kind of pulse and get that air in kind of quickly. That also can kind of be good if you want to kind of start to kind of shift into, maybe you're like really sympathetic and you need to kind of have something like kind of intermediate to kind of get to like a box breathing or something like that. You could do that first. But this would be kind of the breath of fire would be kind of a good way to kind of charge your body in the morning. So that's going to be, so we'll kind of go through, recap the different types of breathing and kind of when you do it. So we did our breathing with a brace. That's your sympathetic breath. That's for like max effort work, high tensioning exercise. We're not going to do that unless we're in the gym going for something really heavy when we need a lot of spinal stability and a lot of intra-abdominal pressure. We talked about the box breathing, where you breathe in for a certain number of counts, hold, exhale for a certain number of counts, hold, and then repeat for 2 to 5 minutes. That's going to be really great before bed, or if you're in a stressful situation, or maybe before a nap or something like that. Or after a workout, box breathing could be very effective as part of your cool down when you have your legs up or you're hanging upside down. We just talked about the single breath, really long inhale, really long exhale. It's going to be really good for a singular event and a stressful situation. You get a bad text, you break up with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, that's going to be a great option for you. And the last is the breath of fire, which would be really good to charge you up. Maybe you got like an important meeting, maybe you have something important to do in the morning, or you just want to kind of start your day. That breath of fire, you're going to do really quick, about 20 to 30 quick breaths through the nose, really rapid fire, long inhale to finish, long exhale to finish this breath of fire. There are a lot of different breathing techniques. I know some people talk about like breathing through like one nostril. There's people that talk about, breathing into like one part of your diaphragm, and I think it gets really complicated. Those are like kind of 4 breaths techniques that I find really simple, and I think they'd be really beneficial. So, and especially just ways for like stress management, just kind of understanding how to use your breath effectively to kind of control your body, I think is really important. A lot of us have really kind of, we're always in that kind of panic breath, so being able to kind of control our body, if we can control our breath, that's going to allow us to control our minds and focus that much more. So understand which type of breath you're going to use in a specific situation. And now this is a little bit outside of my area of expertise, but if you are kind of like a runner or something, if you're doing low intensity cardio, doing more of a nasal breath can be really beneficial as well. That's going to make sure you stay in a low intensity state. Once you start kind of breathing through your mouth, that's going to kind of be a little bit more problematic. But again, this channel is more about strength, so it's a little bit outside my scope, but I figure I'd mention it. So if you're trying to do low intensity work, like a long walk, or low intensity kind of a cardio machine, try to do the whole session with your nasal breathing only. You'd be surprised at how challenging that could be. And that'll kind of keep you honest if you want to do that low intensity work and work on your aerobic system. So those are the 4 types of breath that we're going to use as a lifter, both inside and outside of the gym. I hope this video helps you, and I hope it clears up some things on how we can use our breathing to control our bodies, control our minds, and get better results inside and outside of the gym. If you want to support the program and future content, please check out the links below. Please subscribe for future content if you liked it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, stay strong, and we'll see you soon.